Good morning, this is Will Faerber from Art to Ride. I'm going to take you through a few clips of our schooling with Q a couple of days ago. Here she's schooling in Piaf, and this is the best she's done yet with this. Has a little moment getting into it, but notice how she begins to sit down behind a little bit, really gets straight and very even and active right there. That's what we're looking for, as she lowers a little bit behind. We always want to feel like it's moving a little forward like it does there. Now that was really fantastic, one of the best we've seen from her yet. And she comes right up into a nice working walk. Steady and even. Remember with this horse we had a lot of trouble with her curling behind the bridle, but how nicely she's staying up and how nicely lit up her whole top line is in this working walk. So we are very happy with how that's developing. As you can see, I had a lot of problems with the cameras here, so I cut out a lot of the sections of this. So here we're working on the half pass with her, and she's just beginning to hold the bend and being able to stay a little bit bent to the right. That was quite difficult for her, and trying to bring that outside hind leg through. Remember, that's why the half pass is so much more difficult there. Those are the steps we're looking for right there, when she actually steps through and underneath her body in the half pass and keeps the bend. So that was really very good. That's been a very hard exercise for this horse due to the length of her body and just getting her to keep that back consistently lifted. So we're very happy with that. And of course, every time we do something and we're happy with it, we want to reward the horse, we always come back and just stretch them back out again. And back into a working walk again here, going into a shoulder in. And notice how steadily she steps up into that, keeps the pole up. This is becoming very nicely rhythmic and actually showing a bend. So we can actually begin to call this a shoulder in because she's actually bending. Remember, if they're not bending, we call it a leg yield. And here she's moving her into the half pass there in that direction. And it's a little more difficult for her. And here we pick that up again. She's going to go to the shoulder in. And now she tries for the half pass. And once again, you see she's a little unsteady. It's quite difficult for her and not the edge of what she can do. But here you see how she starts to step that outside hind leg over and through. That's what we're looking for, without losing the bend. So that was really very good. Those are developing really nicely. So we're so happy with this horse. We've gone through so many years of her health problems, but we finally seem to be on the other side of them. As I say, we like to never give up on them. She's going nicely into a working trot. Now notice how her neck is thickening all the time. She's being able to hold her pole higher and higher. But that's not anything that we're forcing her to do. That's just something that happens naturally as the horse develops, as the withers come up through the shoulders and we begin to get full engagement across the top line. Then the pole is able to be held higher and higher, but also as the hind legs begin to bend more, the horse actually sits down more behind, which also brings the pole up. A really nice working trot here, very consistent in where she should be for this level of training. And again, nice shoulder in here. She's able to keep that rhythm. Stepping nice and active and through. Really nice. Look how nicely engaged her core is at that. That is, look at her abdominal muscles how they're coming up and how she's filled in behind the saddle. We're going to do a little canter work with her now. We've started doing flying changes, not so much because we think it's great to do flying changes, but it's great for them. In other words, if you can get a horse to do a good flying change, you know that they're coming through behind. But her canter is getting more balanced up and impulsive all the time. Remember that impulsion is energy that you can control and direct into movement. It's not nervous energy as we see so many people riding today. If your horse looks tense, you're really not doing dressage. Dressage is based on the idea that the horse is relaxed throughout the work, like any other athlete. A tense athlete is never going to perform at its highest level. Really nicely opening up in these canters now. See how she keeps herself lifted through her withers even though we open instead of just falling forward onto her forehand. And she's going to ask her for a flying change here after we do the counter canter, which she does very nicely. No real loss of rhythm or balance through that. And always remembering, we always teach the horse counter canter before you teach them flying changes. Otherwise, every time you try to do a counter canter, they try to do a flying change on you. Watch how easily she comes through there. There's a really excellent change right there. Once again, the change should come through behind at the same moment as the front leg. You see that separate, and you know that it wasn't correct. But that came back to a really nice canter there. And you can see canter, see how Karen's lifting herself up to use her upper body behind the motion a little bit to help the horse balance herself. Like that, how she arches up. And once you learn to use your back correctly, you have to use very little hands. And again, the counter canter. Beautiful canter work from her this morning. It's coming really nicely. Then we come back and work on the trot a little more. How nice and open this is. Really nice downward transition there. See how she almost lowered her hindquarters into that, slowed down and stayed under herself throughout the transition. Now Karen's going to just work on a couple of rein backs here. Now I want you to watch very closely as Karen starts this rein back. Notice how she will bring her upper body, once she gets the horse settled, if she wants the rein back, she's going to bring her upper body a little bit forward. She actually lightens her seat to open the back door. Then when you close, the horse does a rein back. Now notice that the horse is stepping back in diagonal pairs. That is a correct rein back. If the horse breaks the diagonal pairs, it is not a rein back. I'm very, very happy with her this morning. Even there, once again, you can see how the change in her withers and her shoulder position there is starting to happen from the muscular development. But we're really having a great time with this horse now after, as I said, we've had her for quite a few years now trying to get her straightened out. We're very happy that she is now. Comes nicely into that halt, stands quietly. Notice how attentive she still is to Karen. Hope you enjoyed that this morning. This is Will Faerber with Karen Loschba and Q. We'll see you next time at Art to Ride.